All right, started recording the call, and good evening, everybody. Hey guys, my name is Craig Smith, and I'm hosting this special Monday night call. Hey, by the way, many of you tune in every Monday night with us. We usually do it at 8:30. We usually do it at 8:30 Central Time. We're now moving that to 7:30 Central Time. So every Monday, and also our calls on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are always going to be at the same time. So you don't have to ever remember, oh, what night is which day is which time, which call, like all that craziness. They're always at 7:30 Central. I will leave it up to you to figure out what time zone that is for you. That usually takes me quite some time to figure out, but you guys are all a heck of a lot smarter than I am. So I know you'll figure it out real fast. So, so 8:30 Eastern time there. I did that math really quick. That's going to be on Monday nights. A lot of fun to be able to tune into these calls. And with what is happening around the globe right now, this is one of those few things that have ever impacted all of us. I see people on this call from Japan to Australia to Canada, the United States. We're about to be expanding our whole movement around the globe. And I'll tell you right now, people around the globe are concerned about everything to do with their health, their immune system, now more concerned about their finances. The crippling impact that this has had on the economy and just devastated so many lives. And, there is a lot of help coming in different areas, but it's not going to be enough. And so starting to teach people about the principles of having a gig that can tie into what your values are in life. So tonight's call is really going to be about that. It's going to give you the opportunity to learn. Another shout out from the East Coast. And, it gives you an opportunity to learn tonight from two absolute experts, incredible men who have dedicated their lives to both nutrition and health, but also have dedicated their lives to making a difference in people's lives. And you've all joined, especially for all the guests tonight, you joined a URL called b1n2.org. We didn't do that as a mathematical test to see if you were qualified to get on this call. It actually stands for something. Buy one, nourish two. So what you're listening tonight is a unique social business that is about nourishing other folks, that is about nourishing children who are nutritious around the world. 6 million kids every single year die from malnutrition. And if you can imagine with what's going on in the world, how much it's impacting everybody in today's world, the already forgotten folks are being forgotten even more so. So this company is very committed to making a difference around the social business model, around a buy one social business give back program that is going to make tremendous impact. But the big part is to learn about this incredible technology tonight, this Acemannan technology. And I'm going to pass it over tonight because I know that's why everybody's on. We've got hundreds of people on tonight that want to hear about why this is so important to your health today. But also remember, we're going to get past this, but why you want to continue to be connected to your immune system with this technology. And we've got two incredible guests. The first one is been instrumental in working with our other guests tonight. And this gentleman I know is just has a heart and soul for technology, for helping people with their health, and also for nourishing those children. So Mr. C. Burns, it's an honor to kick off the call with you tonight and let you take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. Listen, we have a lot of things going on in the world today, and there's a lot of confusion. And I was speaking with a doctor who I actually have a great deal of respect for. And she said to me, we need an explanation of where our Acemannan actually comes from and how we get that. And Acemannan, if you haven't heard the term before, which hopefully you have, but it is the key ingredient to all of our products. The entire product line revolves around this cornerstone technology of Acemannan. And Acemannan comes from the aloe vera plant. Aloe vera is a member of the lily family. There are about 300 different species. There are 4 that are known to have health properties, but the most studied and the most used in the health industry is something called Barbadensis miller aloe, or true aloe. And so aloe has been used for thousands of years. It's talked about in the clay tablets from Nippur, from Mesopotamia, in Egypt. It was in the earliest papyrus, first paper, they actually wrote about it. Aloe is mentioned in the Bible. In 330 BC, Alexander the Great traveled with aloe as he worked to conquer the world because of what it did for him when he was wounded. He put it on his wounds. A priest brought him the aloe. He put it on there, and then he was never without it. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. What a lot of people don't realize is he had aloe vera plants on his ships with him because of the benefits that aloe was shown to have. And so as we flash forward to 1956, our US government and the Russian government started researching the benefits of aloe for radiation burns after the first nuclear bomb. It was about 10 years after the first nuclear bomb had been dropped. And they couldn't understand why, when they stored the aloe, they weren't seeing great results. So there was a cosmeceutical company in Texas that had changed their name to Carrington Laboratories, and they commissioned some scientists to find the active ingredient in the aloe vera plant. They wanted to know what the active molecule, what made it so great. And they found a group of acetylated mannans with a beta-1,4 linkage, and they named that discovery Acemannan. And they started doing research, and they filed for over 100 patents on different uses for Acemannan and also on the processing of Acemannan. And the reason the processing became so unique was, for all those thousands of years, the Egyptians had invented a way of adding carbonized wood to take the bad stuff out of the aloe and produce the good stuff. And what do I mean by that? Craig, if you wouldn't mind bringing up that slide. If you look at a cross section of the aloe vera plant, you see there's that outer rind. And that outer rind is not something we want to eat. It's got some fiber in there, but it's not good for us. And inside of that is a latex layer that has pulp, and it also has something called anthraquinones. And these are chemicals that are not good for our body, and they actually can cause a laxative effect. And there was a drug actually made from one of the anthraquinones known as aloin, and it was used for many years. It was generally regarded as safe up until about 2002 when the FDA took it off the market. So when they mix the carbonized wood or charcoal in with this inner leaf gel to process it, and some manufacturers would use the rind and the inner leaf gel and mix it in with that carbonized wood and then filter it out and create aloe juices, they were taking out these Acemannan, acetylated mannan molecules. So they didn't want to use that in what they were producing at Carrington Laboratories. So they started looking for a different way to process. And they came up with what is called an alcohol precipitation process. So what happens is the aloe is cut down fresh. And this Acemannan molecule is what they call a labile molecule. Enzymes in the plant start to break it down. And the reason the government didn't find the active component when they were doing the research on the radiation burns was, when you store it, all of those components, the active components, are gone because they are digested by enzymes in the plant within 72 hours. So what happened was they started having the leaves cut off and processing the aloe right away. And they hand fillet that. They actually cut that rind off and they scrape out the inner leaf gel. It goes down a conveyor into a vat. And they started using a process called alcohol precipitation. And it's where they would use ethanol, methanol, propanol, and mix it with the inner leaf gel. Well, that separates out. And these anthraquinones, these molecules that we don't want in there, actually rise to the surface and they stay liquid, as to where the aloe gel, it alters the molecule and it starts to firm up. So they siphon off the liquid and then they would wash and freeze dry the gel. Well, that preserved most of the Acemannan molecule. And that was done for many, many years. As a matter of fact, it was done up until the early 2000s, when one of the scientists that had worked with Carrington on the process of precipitation found a way to use a multi-stage filtration, not using any kind of charcoal, because charcoal filtration is still used today. But again, it damages that Acemannan molecule, and he wanted to preserve that. So Dr. Santiago Rodriguez found a way to preserve that Acemannan molecule. Not only that, but he had read a paper that was written in 2004 by some Korean scientists, and they published it in the Journal of Immunopharmacology in 2005. And they explained that there were specific molecular weights of acemannan that did more for the immune system to activate the macrophage, stimulate macrophage activity, than other weights. And when I say weights, acemannan is measured in something called Daltons. And it goes anywhere from 5,000 Daltons all the way up to 5 million Daltons in molecular weight. So the best illustration I could give you for that is imagine a BB, a little ball bearing, and that would represent 5,000 in 5,000 Daltons. And then you look up to 5 million Daltons, that would be the equivalent of a ball bearing 15 feet in diameter. So there's the whole spectrum there. Well, they started breaking down increments to find out which levels of activity were stimulated by these molecular weights. And they found that between 5,000 and 400,000 Daltons were the sweet spot, if you will, to activate the immune system. And so in doing that, Dr. Rodriguez started to focus on those particular fractions. And he found a way to give everybody the most, to this date, potent acemannan out there. The acemannan that would do the greatest good in the body. And he had been processing acemannan for several years this way before reading that particular paper. And when he tweaked it, he was able to get a certain portion of the acemannan at that higher level, the higher amounts of those particular immune modulating fractions. And he donated the rights to that to what we call the Hope Movement, and what we do to buy one and nourish two, nourishing yourself and a child in need with the product. And so by doing that, we have an aloe that is unique to us. There are many different companies out there that market acemannan products, but none have the level, the efficacy that we have in our product, the potency of what we have. What we have is unique and special. And so to further illustrate and talk about the benefits of this Acemannan molecule, I'm going to bring on our CEO and my good friend, Sam Castor. Sam, would you please share with everyone tonight what Acemannan can mean, especially in today's marketplace?
Well, thanks, Steve. That was an incredible presentation of how aloe is processed. I even learned some stuff tonight. That's amazing, because I've been doing this for 20-something years. Good research, Steve. Listen, I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about how Acemannan actually works in the body. The first thing I want to say is that Acemannan is not a drug. It does not treat, cure, or mitigate disease. It supports the proper structure and function of mechanisms of defense in our body, which is called our immune system. And by the way, I've posted 2 new videos, or we did, at Evolve, on your app. The first app is, the first video that you'll find on your app is by Dr. Roger C. Halt, and it's from an educational website called MedCram. And he is talking about how the immune system actually fights a virus, but he does a really good job at the end of it, talking about why it is so important that you have a good functioning immune system. And without it, you fall into the category of those that don't do very well. The second video is a video that I did. It's about 7.5 minutes long. And it's kind of a condensed version of the talk I did 2 weeks ago, Saturday. Just as how does Acemannan actually function with the mechanism of action in your immune system? And how does that help the body, defend itself against every kind of pathogen out there? And so those are both up there. But tonight, what I'm going to talk about is something I talked about on the end of that video. And I think I've mentioned it in other talks, which is, listen, in today's economy, especially with what's going on all over the place out there, what you're seeing is a lot of products that are claiming to be immune boosters. I mean, listen, when the government, when all the scientists, when everybody in the media is saying you have to have a good functioning immune system, that those with the weakest immune systems are most susceptible, to the most severe consequences of this viral infection, then of course everybody wants to know, how do we support our immune system? How do we make it more effective? So you see all these immune boosters out there. Immune boosters, for the most part, are systemic in terms of the way they work. So we all know that what compromises the immune system, the number one thing that compromises your immune system is poor nutrition. It's right up there with toxicity. So between a toxic environment, taking pharmaceutical drugs, which is a toxic environment, and poor nutrition, it dramatically suppresses our immune system. So what is an immune booster in the marketplace? It could be high doses of vitamin C or zinc, or things like echinacea or goji berry or noni, or whatever. All those are good nutritional support ingredients. And by enhancing the nutritional intake, you're improving your overall bodily, support mechanisms for a good functioning immune system. But that's kind of like a secondary effect on the immune system. It's like a systemic effect. Acemannan is completely different, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. So the mechanism of action of Acemannan is supporting the very front line of immune activation, not the systemic effect by better nutrition over a long period of time, but how do you get the immune system functioning right now? So if you could put up that slide that I've got on there for me, Craig. Okay. Don't let this scare anybody out there. This is really important because this is the best illustration that I've seen, and I've looked at tons of them on why Acemannan functions the way it does. So before we do Acemannan, let's look at infection and let's look at cancer. So we say over and over again that your body has the ability to see pathogens. Pathogens are invaders. They're like viruses or bacterium or fungi or parasites. Even cancer cells are referred to as pathogens. Pathogens are the evil cells that destroy your body, make you sick. So whether the pathogen is a virus or whether it is a bacterium, and so on the left of infection, you see the word pathogen with a little arrow. Okay, so those little creatures are called pathogens. What all pathogens have on their surface, which enables the immune system to recognize them, are those little green oval looking things. They're referred to as mannose ligands. A ligand is just a connector. So all of these pathogens have mannose at the end of their glycan structures. Glycans are structures of sugars that are linked together. And at the very end is a mannose molecule. So it doesn't really matter what pathogen it is. They all have exactly the same thing, mannose on the ends of their glycans. So now you see the two cells, the macrophage and the dendritic cell. These are called phagocytes. A phagocyte means a big eater. In fact, that's actually the meaning of the word macrophage. And what they do is when they spot these pathogens, they actually consume them. And you might have seen a picture in one of the videos of a macrophage swooping up one of these pathogens. And it brings it inside and it just destroys it. Well, how does a macrophage or a dendritic cell, these phagocytes, how do they know that these are evil cells? How do they know they're disease cells, damaged cells, viruses, bacterium? Because they express these mannose molecules. So you'll see on the surface, these little receptor sites, and what are they called? Mannose receptors. So it will only detect something that has a terminal sugar called mannose on the ends of its glycan structures. And that's the mechanism of action of how an immune cell detects the enemy. Now let's go over and look at cancer. Same thing. Cancer is a pathogen. What does it express on its surface glycan structures? Mannose. Isn't that interesting? How does the dendritic cell and the macrophage recognize it? it has mannose receptor sites that actually see these terminal mannose molecules and realize this is not a good thing. And so what that does is that activates the macrophage, it activates the dendritic cell, and basically it starts the entire immune function. So that's the front line of defense. Now go back to infection. If that pathogen gets inside of a cell, then the cell itself that is now infected with the virus expresses a cell surface glycan that is called an antigen. Antigen actually means antibody generator, because that's exactly what the immune cell is going to do when it sees it. It's going to send a zip code for that particular antigen and to a B cell. A B cell is going to make an antibody, and the antibody is going to come back and connect to the surface of that mannose. So it also has a mannose binding lectin on it. And so mannose is the key to all this functionality at the front line of defense. And also, once it has become a disease cell, all of the mechanisms of defense that come and help the macrophage destroy that pathogen, whether it's a T cell, a B cell, a natural killer cell, a neutrophil, it doesn't matter. They're all coated with the same coating that's on the surface of these pathogens. So that's how the immune system works. I think that's fascinating. It's all about mannose. Here's what's interesting. These cell surface mechanisms don't express vitamin C. They don't express echinacea. They don't express zinc. The receptor sites on your immune cells don't detect zinc, C, echinacea, all these other nutritional ingredients. What they're looking for is mannose. Okay, now let's go to acemannan. What is acemannan? As Steve just said, it's a long chain of mannose molecules that are linked together. In fact, 95% of all of the monosaccharides, the individual sugars, whether it's 5,000 or 5 million links, Daltons, 95% of all the sugars in acemannan are mannose. So what do mannose have on the ends of their structures? They have mannose. That's what acemannan has on the end of its structure. Now, it takes a certain molecular weight to create this activation. And it's similar to the weight that exists on the end of a pathogen. So when a certain molecular weight of a mannose molecule is detected by the macrophage or the dendritic cell, guess what it does? It goes into high alert. It rounds up all the defense mechanisms of the system. It starts the production of more macrophages and dendritic cells. In other words, it keeps the immune system on high alert. You cannot do that with any other molecule in nature. This is the most, so when you hear scientists say this is the most powerful immune modulating molecule in nature, this is why, guys, because nothing else has this functionality to it. So hopefully that's giving you an idea of why acemannan works the way it does, how it functions in the human body. Now, here's what's really interesting. When the macrophage, big eater, consumes either a pathogen or acemannan or a diseased cell, it destroys it. But what it puts back out into the system are all the mannose molecules that were attached to those pathogens. Why? Because mannose is essential in the proper structure and function of every cell in your body. I just think that's fascinating. The immune cell takes the destructive cell, pathogen, destroys it, pulls all the mannose off, puts it back into the system, goes through the bloodstream to your liver, and that's where these glycan production mechanisms start, is in the liver. And the liver puts these small chains of mannose together, sends them out through the bloodstream. Your cells all have these mannose binding lectins that are looking for small chains to pull in and start making these glycan structures. Here's what's interesting about healthy cells. They never express mannose on the ends of their cells. Because somebody says, well, how does the immune system know a good cell from a bad cell? Here's how. There's a sugar called sialic acid. It is always at the end of these glycans in healthy cells. When a cell becomes diseased or damaged, that sialic acid falls off and it expresses mannose. When a cell dies and become through a process called apoptosis, when it becomes apoptic, it loses its sialic acid and just expresses mannose. And so then the macrophage eats that dead cell because that's how it gets all the debris out of the system, all these dead cells that are dying all the time. And what does it do? It destroys all the components except the mannose, and it re-releases the mannose into the bloodstream. So guys, when we say that our technology is unique, you know why from Steve. When we say it works better and more effectively than anything in the marketplace in today's world that is promoting to be an immune booster, I think you now know why that difference occurs. So hopefully this helps you understand we got the solution to what the world is actually looking for if they're interested in improving their immune system. Okay, thanks a lot. Craig, back to you.
Hey, that was amazing, both of you guys. And Steve, I know you were getting excited hearing some of the stuff Sam was talking about. Anything you want to wrap things up with, and then I'll finish off the call afterwards. But that was incredible information.
It really was. And, you know, Sam said he learned something from me. I learned something from him. That's how our relationship typically works. But one of the things that Sam was mentioning are these immune boosters out there. And there's a lot of great products that are used to help boost the immune system, but there's a time and place for it. And right now, during this time, it is not a good time to have your immune system boosted. And I've been sequestering for a little while now, but before I did, it was in one of the stores, and I noticed all the echinacea products gone, all of the elderberry products gone. And when you look at elderberry, that's an herb. That's actually an immune stimulator. So imagine you're in your car and you've got the cruise control on, you're driving down the highway, and you start going up a hill, and the car automatically, the cruise control kicks that fuel in going to the engine. But then imagine you get over the top of the hill, and instead of shutting it off, it keeps flooring it as you're going down. Well, that's what happens when you use immune boosters. And Sam talked about the recognition of the cell was so important. Well, you actually, with an immune booster, can start attacking friendly cells. And especially with the particular condition that's out there now, this pandemic, that is what is happening in a lot of cases where people are succumbing to the disease, to the virus, is their white blood cell count goes way up because their immune system gets overactive and doesn't shut down. This Acemannan that Sam and I just finished talking about, it's an immune modulator. It brings the immune system up when it needs it. It brings it down when it needs it. It keeps that cruise control going all the time. I know we got into a little bit of science here, but this is important stuff. And watch this replay a few times if you need to. Watch Sam's part especially, and learn what we're talking about, because when you understand it, you will understand how vital, how important our technology is to everyone. So blessings, Craig. Thanks for hosting. Appreciate all the leadership that you and Ann provide.
Well, excellent. And, you know, I love the fact that you guys learned something from each other, because I still have no clue what either one of you said, but I love the fact that I know how smart you guys are, and I know how smart my wife is, who is heavily in, and many of you know, Anna is both her doctor in chiropractic and is nutrition her whole life. So I kind of do what you guys say. So if you're telling me we should just take the immune product, I'm taking the bloody stuff like every day. Like that's enough for me. But for everybody who is watching, who I know, the comments in here are incredible. It's been so much fun watching all these comments. Yes, it is recorded for a couple of people who asked, but it's pretty powerful when you know you have something that is so meaningful that you're the only people that have it, and yet we all have a duty to share it. And that's why the recording of this video is here. It's why we want to spread the word in what we're doing. Also want to give credit to Sam and the company and the team, because every single sale of this immune technology, Acemannan technology, is actually doubling right now the nourishments to the children in need, because they're going to be forgotten through this process. So our buy one, we typically give 28 servings to children in need. It's now going to be double that at 56, which is a huge commitment by the company. There's also a very special pack out there where you can buy 5 and get 1 free. So for yourself, for your family, I know it is incredible how the growth of this company's had, because people are saying, you know what, no more am I going to ever be in this environment again. I want to put my body in the best environment. And because of all the smart stuff those guys just said, that's why you want to take it. The other thing is we want to encourage you guys to, help us spread this news. This is an incredible company with an incredible purpose, with incredible people. And we'd love to have you partnering with us as well. Join us as a social business partner. Many of you here are on as social business partners. Many of you are guests here tonight because we've got hundreds of people on this call. The company's actually letting you pretty much join for free. We're $29.95. You can become a social business partner. You can actually then help share it with others. But they're going to give you a $30 credit voucher and a $20 free bag of Hope Pops, which has that incredible immune technology, Acemannan technology in this incredible sucker. It's fun to be able to take these products, but it's also great to share with others, because I'll tell you right now, people are looking for solutions, both in their health, but they're also saying, you know what, this whole concept of having a home-based gig that I can make a difference, be part of something worthy, and be able to earn extra income, because we've seen how something like this can not only just ripple the impact of people's health around the world, it can completely decimate an economy. And so to have a secondary source of income happening, which is how my wife and I have lived our life, we've always had that, is incredibly meaningful. So we would love to have you join us. And to help learn more about that, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have special calls at 7:30 at the same number, where you're going to hear all about Evolve, so you can really understand the whole picture. Each night we have different health experts that are going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Wednesday night, we have a special guest who's actually going to talk a little bit more about why social business. It's a CPA, MBA, financial expert named Ben Platt. That's going to be a ton of fun. So every single night this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's a great call to invite somebody. If you are inspired by what you heard tonight, you want to hear how the products have impacted people's life, be sure to invite them to the calls Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Sam, Steve, anything you guys want to wrap up with before we shut off tonight's call?
I'll tell you one thing that kind of cool that happened today. Am I on?
You are on. I'm excited. You got something cool. I want to hear about it.
Okay, this is what's cool. So Jeff Allen called me and he said he talked to a doctor that works in a hospital in Missouri, and he wanted Hope Pops to hand out to all of the people that are working, during this time in hospitals, all the healthcare. So I sent them complimentary tons of Hope Pops today. So pretty soon you're going to be seeing pictures of healthcare providers in this hospital walking around with Hope Pops hanging out of their mouth. Anyway, what a cool thing that just the word of who we are and what we're doing is getting out, Greg.
Oh man, that is so fulfilling, so cool to hear, and very, very exciting. Well, look, let's wrap it up. Guys, this is recorded. We'll be posting it on some Facebook pages. You'll be able to get access. We're going to send an email out later where you guys will be able to get access to this so you can share it. But most importantly, invite people on these live calls, because they can ask questions in the chat room. They can share with other people in the chat room. They can hear stories about how other people's lives have been impacted. But most importantly, we want you guys to be part of us. Join us as a customer tonight. Let people know the person that invited you can tell you how they can get that order of the immune. The product's still being shipped everywhere because our manufacturing is considered an essential business. And then on top of it, because you can do it for free, you might as well join us as a social business partner. You never know. You may just walk around the corner or be on a call with somebody who has that level of concern or is asking questions. You can then easily just invite them to be part of a social business partner with you, and we can together help make this massive impact. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, 7:30 Central Time, and then again Wednesday and Thursday. So have a great night. Sam and Steve, thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
All right, stay safe, everyone.